Welcome to the Sleep 101 class brought to you by Access Complete Wellness. As we get started, we'll go through our disclaimers, the first one being that we are authorized to use this presentation. And secondly, that we are not here to diagnose, treat, or cure anything. We are simply sharing information, so we are not giving any medical advice. So again, welcome, and we are so glad that you're here to join us for Sleep 101. My name is Lynn Morales. I'm a naturopath and a wellness specialist in the Plano, Texas area, which is near Dallas-Fort Worth. I know we have some of you watching from around the country, so wanted to make sure you were aware of where we were located, and welcome to you from the various time zones. We're going to have a lot of resources available to you from this presentation. So it's important that you know that since you registered for this, you are going to receive all the resources that were used to prepare this presentation. And you do not have to write all these feverishly quickly down in your notes because they're going to be sent to you. But just wanted you to see a handful of what we're going to be sharing. So, you know, lack of sleep, this is one of the biggest health challenges that people face today. And, you know, it's an estimated 50 to 70 million adult Americans actually suffer from sleep or wakefulness disorders. And given that you need sleep to be healthy, we should be spending a lot more time in our lives asleep. And this is a really staggering number to think that we have this many suffering from it. Now, this can be due to a number of reasons, and as with any health issue, and they can be influenced by varying external factors. So it could be that they're not creating the space for this in their schedule for adequate sleep, or not understanding the importance of it, and therefore letting, you know, sleep-related responsibilities go uncared for. So, you know, by tending to our sleep-related needs, we can ensure the rest of our day is maximized and enhance our health and productivity levels and our overall, you know, cultivation of a deeper connection with the world around us just by finally possessing the energy required to get through the day. Now, this is an unhappy side effect of sleep deprivation, right? We've all been there, maybe not exactly in this manner, but maybe sleepily putting on odd socks or stumbling around wearily in the dark. The obvious effects of not getting enough sleep are clear. And yet, as our day wears on, the effects of sleep deprivation only multiply, regardless of how much coffee we drink. So some of the things that happen as a direct result of having, you know, insufficient sleep. So like we can become more prone to accidents, and researchers actually show that in the US, 20% of car accidents occur as a result of drowsy drivers. So that lack of energy causes our responses to be lowered, filtering our peripheral awareness and ultimately increasing the chances that we'll make a mistake while driving. But it's not just road accidents. You know, accidents can happen at work as well. Mistakes or discrepancies in the work that we do because of a lack of attention span and the energy and overall productivity and job satisfaction are all impacted by our sleep, and they can be significantly decreased. So the National Sleep Foundation's got a Drowsy Driver website. It's a great resource to learn more about stats surrounding driving while you should be sleeping. And so we're going to share that with you in the resources as we indicated. So not getting enough sleep also leaves us more prone to developing, you know, other non-related health problems or seemingly non-related. And as the body learns to function on low levels of energy over the course of a period of poor sleep, this means there's less energy left over to help the body in what's recovery is all about, the recovery stage from an illness. And it might not seem directly influenced by the sleep levels. So lack of sleep's been linked to such serious afflictions like diabetes, obesity, high blood pressure, even heart disease, and it's been known to shorten your overall life expectancy. So while there are generally several other factors involved, it's still quite telling that these illnesses could all be shaped or at least improved by examining your sleep patterns and your energy levels over a long period of time. So why do so many people have this situation? Why is this so stressful in our lives? You know, the overstimulation that we're presented with constantly means that there is always something externally going on or happening that we feel we got to catch up with or achieve. And this sense of needing to be aware of every little element of our lives, and more importantly, the need to be in control, is what keeps our minds so active, not only at nighttime, but in the daytime too. So here's some top reasons why adults today are suffering from lack of sleep. You know, before technology became such a massive and overwhelming factor in our lives, our bodies were in tune to the rising and the setting of the sun. And the further and further away from this that we've moved, however, you know, that less in tune with our bodies we've become, and we're so, even the most basic of needs, like sufficient sleep, have been shaken by external technological influences. So during the days of sleeping, when the sun sleeps, the retinas in our eyes immediately detected a natural hormone called melatonin as soon as that light started to decrease. And melatonin is super important. It causes us to feel sleepy. And during a healthy period of deep sleep, it remains elevated within our bloodstream. So, you know, now think of it in terms of that bright blue light emitted by phone screens and the flashing lights of technology and those devices that we've become so addicted to checking. So as soon as this kind of light hits the retina, the effect of melatonin is immediately reversed, and it actually promotes a state of wakefulness over that of sleep. So all of that combined with artificial lighting has caused disruptive sleep patterns and lowered the overall quality of the sleep we do get. And as that bright light we so crave lies inches away from us at night, you know, we have those wakeful moments that present us with that social media craving. And that's very, very disturbing for our sleep. So what I'd like to do is share with you a short video by Dr. Daniel Siegel. And this is super important, and I am so excited to have found it so you can learn more about how smartphones affect our sleep.
The impact of screens on sleep. You know, people are exposing their eyes to this stream of photons from these objects that basically tells your brain, stay awake, it's not time to go to sleep yet. So it's 10 p.m., it's 11 p.m., it's 12 p.m., you're checking for email, you're looking for text, you're doing all these things. That light beams in you. It tells your brain, don't secrete melatonin yet, it's not time for sleep. And you're up at 12:30, you're up at 1, you're checking some more because you're up after all, why shouldn't you check? Now, you go to bed at 1, you wake up at 6 to get ready for work, that's 5 hours of sleep. We now know that what sleep is likely doing is allowing your active neurons to rest, which is fine. But more than that, the supportive cells, called glial cells, are now cleaning up the toxins that the neurons produce. And if you don't get from 7 to 9 hours of sleep, you just get 5, the toxins remain there for over 95% of people. There are a small percentage of people who are genetically different. They don't need that much sleep. But for the vast majority of us, we need 7 to 9 hours of sleep. So even though it's like a badge of courage, I only had 3 hours of sleep last night and I'm working today, it makes your attention falter, your memory is impaired, your ability to think through problems is challenged. Your insulin, even, that helps regulate your metabolism, is turned upside down, so you're more likely to gain weight from what you eat and eat more. And then, if that weren't enough, it's actually toxic to the connections in your cells. So, in your brain. So what you want to do is prioritize sleep. Shut off your screens, let's say by 9 p.m. Give yourself an hour at least before you're going to bed and keep those screens off. It's a serious, serious problem for everyone. And we can do something about it by actually actively deciding that's what we're going to do, is take care of this aspect of the digital domain.
Well, there you have it from one of the experts in the industry. So don't just take my word for it. So let's talk a little bit about ways to combat technology and light-related sleep issues. You know, dimming the light on your screen device to the lowest setting possible is really important. And dimming all the lights in your house will actually send signals to the retinas that it's time to wind down towards sleep. So at least 1 to 2 hours before a set bedtime, turn off the blue light devices in the home, including TVs, computers, tablets, smartphones. This is going to help trigger that production of melatonin, and sleepiness will set in at the right time. And you know, some of these devices have this blue light you can turn off. It's in your settings, and I would encourage you to do that. So that way, if you accidentally do have your device on a little bit later, at least the blue light is shut down and your device has automatically dimmed. The other thing to look at is regulating that bedtime routine so that it happens around the same time each day, allowing your body to create a regulated sleep cycle. And then, of course, let's limit the mind stimulation in those hours before bedtime. And some of the activities that are encouraged is like reading a book, not necessarily on Kindle, by the way. Again, a regular old paperback. Listening to music or meditating are all super great beneficial ways to still keep the mind and help it to focus and be still on a singular thing, so it drifts off to sleep easier. And that's a good time to charge any of your phones and devices that might tempt you in a moment of wakefulness, you know, to look at them. So move them away from the nightstand. The farther away, the better. So these are just a few tips to share. And, you know, just as important in moderating our external experiences before sleep is making sure our internal bodies are lined up for the rest of it, right? So studies have shown that high carb diets, high sugar consumption, and we don't just need the bad kind of sugar, like see some of these sugary fruits. Too much of that before bedtime and throughout the day is a huge contributing factor to difficulties that people have sleeping. So, you know, understand this, our physiology is not set up to deal with the typical carb-loaded Western way of eating. And that's one of the reasons insomnia and diet have become very strongly linked. So if you've ever put like the wrong gas in a diesel engine, you'll know that putting that wrong fuel in there had basically led to less than ideal results. The same applies to us. You know, if you put in the wrong type of fuel, you have a tendency to add on extra weight. It can wreck your sleep. It can cause you to have like knocks and pings, right? Like the wrong kind of gas in your engine. We use a tool in my practice where we can help you identify the right kind of foods for you based on your blood type and your metabolic profile, like how fast you burn energy. And you'll see the difference when you put the right gas in, the high octane fuel versus the NOx and ping fuel. But let's talk about refined carbs, because a lot of people think like, oh yeah, I know what carbs are, but honestly, they really don't. So of course, it's all the fun things that you really want to eat. But these are second only to caffeine as far as reducing the quality of your sleep. So knowing a little bit about how your body responds to food will make this a whole lot clearer. But, you know, refined carbs get broken down into glucose. So I'm explaining to you why this happens and what happens here. They get broken down into glucose in your gut, and that's absorbed super quickly into the bloodstream. And that's what we call high glycemic index foods. And what happens is they make your blood sugar shoot up to a really high level. And that's really bad news for your body. So it spills out a load of insulin, you know, to deal with this threat level. And then because it does that, it has to do emergency rush job, and it overshoots the mark. And though basically you start having blood sugar issues. So if you're eating, you know, natural foods, which tend to have low glycemic index, then these aren't going to have as violent a swings in your blood sugar, and they're going to be a lot better for you. So it sounds a lot easier than it is. I know that, you know, and familiarizing yourself with your body and the way it responds to certain foods, you know, before you sleep is super vital for you to improve your sleep. So I would encourage you to keep a food diary and sleep diary. and track what you're eating the days that you sleep well. We're going to give you a resource that you'll be able to check out some more information on great foods to eat and what foods to avoid. But now let's look at another reason for lack of sleep in adults, and that would be lifestyle. You know, both of the factors we've discussed already fall into the lifestyle category at some level, but there's no denying that there's more to sleep disorder than might seem initially obvious. And so, you know, anyone can tell you to put down the phone before bed, or, you know, in our fascination with improving diet and fitness has been there all along, but there's a lot of reasons for us to look at lifestyle and sleep. So, you know, factors like work hours and work location, nap taking, sleep cycle regulation, environmental factors all play a role into affecting our sleep patterns. And so these things should also be considered. So for example, if you work long hours at home and you often don't stop working until later on in the evening, this can create a hazy, blurred confusion between sleep and work hours. And that means that the quality of your work and your sleep are both not in a good space. So if you take naps regularly and find yourself in need of a nap at random intervals during the day, it's generally a great indication that something in your night sleep pattern is not good. So to minimize that necessity for naps and maximize the nighttime hours, try regulating your evening sleep cycle and adhering to a strict bedtime routine. You know, one of the things I learned a while back when I was on a journey with my aging parents is that a psychologist shared with me the importance of resetting that cycle. And you can certainly try that on your own by, he recommended going to bed at 8 o'clock in the evening and waking up at 4 regardless. And doing that continually for days in a row until your cycle resets. I actually recommend to people they wear a mask because you would be surprised if you actually turn the lights out in your bedroom at night. Look at all the electronic other devices that are still lighting up the room, like your alarm clock or maybe little lights on little other devices in there. So these are all part of that lifestyle routine. And then, gosh, environment is huge. And I love this environment. I love this picture. It's so clean and cozy. And, you know, there's a lot of things that can really impact your sleep. And so, you know, one of the things that is recommended is actually, you know, clean up your room. The less clutter, the better, you know, the less stimulation for the brain. Unless, of course, you're obsessive compulsive disorder, and then you're thinking about, oh, what piece of dust needs to be cleared. But we got a way to address that momentarily. The other thing is to light a candle. We have those cute little candles that are LEDs and they're battery operated, and they actually have a timer switch on them. So they kind of turn on at a certain time in the early evening and then turn off before bed. And it's a really a very calming environment. We also use essential oils in our bedroom with a diffuser. We diffuse lavender, peace, and calming, cedarwood, just to name a couple. Also, you want to minimize outside noise. So, you know, this might seem obvious, but choosing an environment that's not overly impacted by those outside noises is really important for sleep quality. You know, like if you live next door to like a railroad, that's probably not good. Although for somebody I know in my family, they fall asleep to railroad noise. So, you know, whatever works for you. But for the most part, limiting it is the better way. And then, of course, the most important, turn off that phone. I mean, if we have to say it again, we can't stress this enough that too many people are relying on those phones during the nighttime hours. And by arguing your case to say, well, I need it for, you know, to wake me up in the morning. That brings us to the last point, right? Buy an alarm clock. And they have, you know, we actually, you know, you could even use that Alexa device, right, to wake you up to like calming music. I don't know about you, but I don't like being woken up to alarm, alarm, alarm type noise. I don't mind being woken up to very quiet, soothing music. So we're going to send you a study that was done in Japan on lifestyle factors and insomnia. Now let's move on to mental health. Sleep is so important, and it can affect our health just as much as eating, drinking, and breathing. You know, and it allows a time for our cells to repair themselves, and it allows our brains to process and receive info. So it's also linked to a lot of mental health disorders when you don't sleep. like anxiety and depression, and low levels of physical energy translate into poor cognitive activity. This is something I saw repeatedly, again, with my aging parents through their journey. And so when you're seeking to boost your mental health, it makes sense that improving that sleep quality is high up on the list of recommended treatments. The difference that you'll feel after several consecutive good nights of sleep, overall mood will be different. Your awareness will be incredibly different. So prioritize sleep over anything else. I'm seeing a tremendous change in my whole world after caring for 2 parents and 2 pets that were having some difficulties over the years. And my sleep was really impacted in that role. So lack of sleep can really contribute to the worsening of mental health disorders, like some of these. And by the way, Harvard Health, they did a study, which you're going to get the link to that, that there are over 70 types of sleep disorders in existence. These ones that we listed here are the most common, insomnia being, difficult to get to sleep or stay asleep, although staying asleep could also be adrenal stress. And we can talk about that momentarily. But sleep apnea, being able to, like sometimes you don't breathe throughout the night, that's a scary thing. Or even the unpleasant sensations that may prompt someone or to be fidgety, almost like a restless leg condition, something like that. And then narcolepsy, that's for people who actually just fall asleep suddenly during the day. So there's a whole lot of overlaps between the study of mental health disorders and sleep disorders. And researchers are seeing this now and connecting this, which, thank God, right, for that, that they're understanding the bigger picture and looking at that biological root. So what about REM sleep? So this stands for rapid eye movement, if you didn't know that. And REM occurs in cycles of about 90 to 120 minutes throughout the night. And it accounts for up to 20 to 25% of total sleep time in adults. Now, it decreases with age. So a newborn baby actually may spend about 80% of their total sleep time in REM stage. Now, don't you just wish you were a baby again? So in particular, REM sleep dominates the latter half of the sleep period, so especially the hours before waking. And that REM component of each sleep cycle typically increases as the night goes on. So as the name suggests, it's associated with rapid side-to-side movements, of the closed eyes. I mean, it's apparently random, they say. And it can be monitored and measured by a technique called electrooculography, EOGs. The eye motion isn't constant, but it's intermittent. And they don't exactly know what the purpose is that it serves yet. But it is believed that the eye movements may relate to the internal visual images of the dreams that occur during that REM sleep. And especially as they're associated with brainwave spikes in the regions of the brain involved with vision, which would be, our occipital lobe. So we're going to send you this link where you can learn more facts about REM sleep. And so let's talk a little bit about what in the world do you have to do to boost REM sleep. Cultivating, a day and nighttime routine can help you engage that REM sleep when the need arises. And following the guidelines regarding diet, fitness, health regimens, lifestyle factors, environmental factors, in that immediate proximity can all help to contribute to raise levels of REM sleep. And, another thing we do in my practice is body talk sessions. In body talk sessions, we can do a lot to adjust the circadian rhythm, have your body kick melatonin on at a specific time of day, the better time of day for you based on your schedule, and also to lower cortisol levels and things like that. If you want to learn more about that, if you can go to accesscompletewellness.com, our website, on the homepage, there's an article halfway down our most read blogs. There's one called Hormones Happy. And that gives you a small indication. I mean, that's talking mostly about female hormones, but all of these are hormones. I mean, men have them too. And all of them we can help adjust. and actually look at the triggers that locked them into place at an inconvenient time for your sleep cycle. Anyway, as we move on, what I want to talk to you about now is meditations for sleep disturbance. And this is a super awesome way to start maximizing your sleep, and by learning how to meditate or pray, is another term I prefer to use. But you got to become more aware of your thoughts, your tendencies, your patterns, and then meditation can support that overall balance, to help you be a little more rounded and energized in your lifestyle. So, there's many different effective meditations that can be done to support a better cycle of sleep. And as many people find it difficult to know where or how to start with their meditation journey, it helps to start by taking guided meditations to help ease you into a deeper state of relaxation. And there's a lot of resources to help you with that, to achieve success for you. And, studies have found that the regular meditation can actually have long-term benefits for our sleep cycles and even fight against insomnia. So meditation helps us to drift into a deeper state of sleep, and more importantly, to remain there, right? I mean, how nice is that? And then this calming focus has as an alternative to stressful or agitated focus, encourages that nervous system to relax and integrating that breath and movements of the mind. So we're going to share a couple of websites with you on meditation, and you're going to get these. So again, just give us a little bit of time. We'll make sure this is all available to you. Now, I wonder how many of you out there have a sleep cycle app. So, there are a whole bunch of these apps out there on how to monitor your sleep. And basically these apps measure things like when you enter deeper periods of sleep and when your potential for REM sleep is highest, and when and how you start to enter into those lighter levels of sleep. So by monitoring your current sleep tendencies, it can give you an awareness in how best to maximize your sleep time. And you can start to use your sleep time to your advantage, maybe figure out the triggers or reasonings contributing to your lack of sleep. One of the things I'm going to recommend to you is on our website, accesscompletewellness.com. You can go to the 24-hour body clock. It's going to be under our resources and tools, or you can type in 24-hour body clock. If there is a certain time of day or night, I should say, that you always wake up, like if you can tell me right now, I wake up every night at 1:13, okay, then we know exactly what organ in the body is having difficulty processing the day's work. And on my website, you can look that time up on this 24-hour body clock, because it is about the 24-hour body clock, and actually find for some of them, you'll learn on all of them what it means, and it'll tell you more about yourself as well. But you'll also learn some exercises that we have for the various organs, like the lungs and the liver and the kidneys. Yeah, I kid you not, it's specifically, for these organs. And they will enhance that sleep cycle opportunity for you. So also it works for daytime people who get really sleepy at a certain time of day. So if you always get a power drain at 3:13 in the afternoon, go back to the 24-hour body clock and learn what organ is having trouble, because it all links to an organ that's not processing its time well throughout the body clock cycle. Again, awesome information out there for you. And another thing I want to share is, gosh almighty, keep away those cell phones. Keep them away from you. One of the things I'd also share with you is be careful with some of these sleep apps also. Like if you have to wear a device around your wrist, if you're one of those little phone people, you have the little Dick Tracy phone on your wrist and things like that, you might want to verify if that isn't contributing to your sleep issue, because it is very close to the body. It has electromagnetic fields. We have devices at our practice that we can provide you to assist with that. But honestly, I would recommend you not sleep with them on. I've known women who've had really serious hormone changes, and they wore devices and things like that. I do not. And the only reason I used to was to track steps for a particular reason. It actually got me money in my health spending account. And I would wear a device and I would rotate it. I'd loop it on my belt loop or stick it in my pocket and rotate it around different body parts. And then I definitely didn't put it on when I slept at night. And the main reason was at that time I was in a lot of stress and I knew I wasn't sleeping. And I personally didn't want an app telling me I wasn't sleeping. I already knew that. And so I had to do some other things to help me through that process. Flow state, if you were on our webinar on anxiety, you learned about flow state there. This is really powerful, especially for artistic people, very creative people. They know what flow state is. And, it's a state where our creative capacity is really, really heightened. And it leads to a more intense and lengthened state of focus. But interestingly enough, they found that in researching, they found that people who were the state of mind that you're in for flow state, you're in your alpha and your theta waves, okay, brain waves. And they found that that's also the same brain waves involved in continuing deep states of sleep. So isn't that neat? So a couple of thoughts there. Basically what they're saying is that after intense periods of this flow state, when it's easier, they actually find it's easier to get to sleep. And so channeling energy in one direction consistently means that the energy is more accustomed to going down that pathway. So it might be, a great opportunity, for some of you out there to be creative right before bedtime. There are many different opinions, though, around insomnia and creativity, most of which differ depending on the individual. Some people, they claim to find it very productive to stay up all night and work. Others say, no, it's more beneficial for me to get to bed early and get a full night's sleep and a balanced sleep routine. So, I'm going to share with you a couple of websites, one representing each side. And I love this one, Nocturnal Hacker. Yeah, so while the rest of us are asleep, this guy is being creative and probably hacking your 401k or your bank account. But bottom line is, it is true that some people seem to operate better at night. And so you really do need to look at, what works best for you. And boy, oh boy, how about this one? Psychophysiological insomnia. I mean, it just sounds creepy, doesn't it? This is something that during a period of this experience, a patient has a lack of sleep during which their thoughts are so preoccupied by the fact that they're currently not sleeping. And so they're worrying about the consequences, the effects, and the outcomes the next day. And so if you've ever had a big meeting or experienced a lack of sleep the night before a big presentation or something, and you were over analyzing it all night, then you know what this person's going through. You've probably experienced this. Little thought would go into which sex has the bigger issue with this. Of course, it's females, and their preoccupation with sleep seems to far outrank that of males. But I'm going to share with you some really great information that you aren't going to find anywhere else. Out on our website, accesscompletewellness.com, go to my resources page. There's an emotional questionnaire. Download it, answer it, buy some Bach flowers essences. Those are amazing. You can order them directly from our practice, or you can usually get them at local healthy grocery stores. They have them. There are 38 different ones, which is why you don't just go grab any old one. That questionnaire can greatly guide you on which ones would be most beneficial for you. But here's what I'm going to say. Two of them that I would recommend. One in particular for the psychophysiological insomnia would be ELM. ELM is for performance anxiety. And in this person's case, sleep is what they're trying to do well at. They're trying to perform well in sleep, which is why ELM is a good one for that. White chestnut, also amazing for day or night. White chestnut is for mind chatter. If you're the person whose mind goes crazy over and over, this one's for you. We're going to share this also website about this particular disorder. So, we've talked a lot about, the regulation of a balanced diet and our sleep patterns, but sleep enhancing foods, let's talk about those. You want to eat protein rich foods that are rich in amino acids like tryptophan. They're so beneficial for improving sleep. And the amino acid actually helps to encourage the sleep producing hormone of melatonin that we talked about. And so it's a great way to help yourself achieve better rest. Foods like chicken, turkey, milk and dairy, nuts and seeds are all good choices for this, unless of course you have any kind of intolerances to some of those foods. So if you're someone who prefers, not sleeping after a heavy meal, there's also certain snack foods that better encourage sleep than others. And so I want you to consider that, find the ones that are right for you, that help you get to sleep. And then foods with naturally occurring amino acids. These are things like walnuts, almonds, green leafy vegetables, root vegetables. All of these are super great, and they're grounding foods that will put you in that calmer state of mind and help ease your anxiety. So here's another website we're going to offer to you where you can learn a little bit more about some foods for enhancing your sleep. Now, not everybody's familiar with what is an essential oil or the concept of it. So they are essentially, they're broken down volatile organic molecules that change super quickly from their solid state to liquid and at room temperature. And they're called volatile because they change state very fast, very quickly. So the most important thing you need to know for the benefit of this class is that they're derived from organic plant sources. They are very powerfully fragrant, and some of the natural fragrances have been proven to promote and induce a calmer state of mind and encourage a more balanced central nervous system. And we're going to share with you a link regarding a research study on lavender that actually shows, it concluded that when it relates to the nervous system, it 100% was very good for promoting a positive impact in an emotional state and physical tension reduction. So a couple other essential oils we're going to share with you. Lavender, sandalwood, ylang ylang, cedarwood. These other ones are blends, peace and calming, stress away. These all have multiple single essential oils in them. The top 4 are single essential oils and the bottom 2 are blends. So they have more than one kind of oil in them to create the blend. And you got to use a good quality oil. We only use Young Living essential oils in our practice. And so it's important that you know that there are different qualities. If you buy one of the cheap ones at the regular grocery store and it says not for internal use, think about it. It doesn't take much to think about this. If it says not for internal use, then you don't want to put it on your skin because essential oils get into your bloodstream in 4 seconds. You also don't want to put it in a diffuser and breathe it. Why? Because it's going in you. So think twice about that. We have a lot of information on the right therapeutic grade essential oils to use. A couple other strategies to promote sleep. So on my website, accesscompletewellness.com, under resources, or type in Tahiti vacation, relaxation pose, a phenomenal one for the person who wakes up multiple times throughout the night. That is the one for you. That means you probably have adrenal stress. And this is a 15-minute relaxation exercise, the equivalent to 4 hours of sleep. Yes, that's exactly what I said. Okay, a couple other phenomenal things for you to consider for other strategies to promote your sleep. I think all of these we've covered some of them in detail already. And last thing I want to share with you is, what are you going to try tonight, right? Hopefully you're not watching this presentation too late in the evening so that we've already adjusted your sleep cycle because you're looking at the blue screen. But you can start fresh with that tomorrow. But a couple of things for you to keep in mind. We're almost done here, but I do hope you've enjoyed everything that you learned, and that you certainly reach out to us if the resources that we provided weren't, didn't give you the information that you were looking for. Now I'll see if we have any questions. And while I wait to see if there's any questions, I'm going to share with you our next webinar, free to you and your friends. Feel free to share with anybody that we allow it to be offered to people across the country, so no concern there. If you are a person that has borderline or right out, cholesterol concerns or issues, blood pressure concerns or issues, particularly high blood pressure, or blood sugar issues, I highly recommend you sit in on this particular program that we're going to air next July 11th. And you're going to learn so much, and you're going to learn why this is the best time of year to engage in this. Most people like to do these programs in January, and I'm going to tell you it's just 21 days. It's going to start after the 4th of July. So all your parties are done, and get you in tip-top shape going into the school year for those who start in August. So phenomenal opportunity there. So I'm going to put this screen up momentarily for just a little bit. And it doesn't seem as though we have any questions at this time. So what we're going to do is make sure to reach out to us at accesscompletewellness.com. If you have any questions, you can call us at the number here on the screen, or reach out to us at info@accesscompletewellness.com. We're happy to answer any questions. And then, of course, everyone who participated in the registration of this webinar will receive the playback, and you will receive all of the notes. So just want to thank you for your participation. It is always a pleasure to have you all participating with us each month, and we get such a joy out of sharing education to help you live a healthier life. So again, thank you so much.